Hello, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Sport Pizza, where we give you the absolute best in the ever exciting world of sport. My name is Brownson Uwana. It's a loaded show from football to basketball, Formula One, and for all Messi fans, we've got you covered. And the Messi saga seems not to have been over. We're going to be giving you lots of updates on that. But first, let's take a very quick break. And when we come back, we'll give you all the fun what you need to know about the world of sports. Welcome back. Now, today's show is going to be on two halves, first and second half. Olakunle will be playing the first half. Let me test his strength. And if it doesn't match up, my second striker will be joining me later on the show. Olakunle Philippe, good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Brownson. It's good to be here for this week's episode of Sport Pizza. And so much happening in the ever-blazing world of sport. As you spoke about, the likes of the news concerning Lionel Messi is going to have to stay back in Barcelona, and then for the fans of Manchester City, this is not a welcome development for them. And so many other transfer news has been so exciting. I've actually been impressed with what Chelsea has done in the transfer market.
They bought your players. There's nothing left for that club to buy.
They've spent over £230 million. I think one challenge they're facing is the fact that they are still having a goalkeeping problem. Abe Zalaga, I think for me, hasn't been able to prove to everyone that he has what it takes to actually be in goal for a big club like Chelsea, because since he came in 2018 from Athletic Bilbao, he hasn't been living up to expectations. So I expect Chelsea to also, after spending about £230 million, and I must tell you, Brownson, for a team to sign players, top players with such huge amount, it shows intent, it shows determination, and they want to ensure that they just don't want to be contenders. But this time around, they don't want to be pretenders.
With all the players, we'll get to the show where we'll look at pretenders and contenders. I hope Chelsea will not fall into those pretenders category.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, they say charity begins at home. Let's start this show at home. Now, as we're counting down to the restart of the English Premier League and the Spanish La Liga, Nigerians are still earnestly waiting for the restart of the Nigerian professional football leagues. Any date yet? Maybe not now, but of course we'll feed you in. But the sport minister, Solomon Dare, is doing something very, very good. He has insisted and told the clubs that before the league would see the light of day, medical facilities in line with the COVID-19 guidelines must be met, and also financials as regards player salary and logistic. Everything must be well sorted out before the league will restart.
It's a good move. It's a way to go. And since the federal government has actually made everyone understand the fact that sporting activities can commence in earnest in Nigeria, I think it's a good move from the sport minister. I must tell you, Brownson, I think I really want to give kudos to the sport minister, Dare from Ibadan.
And you have to mention Ibadan.
So if I remember the past, yes, while sport minister...
Don't mention.
It was fracas, almost all through his tenure. But now we can heave a big sign of relief because we have a sport minister who listens to almost all the associations and is actually tinkering them towards reaching their heights and potentials. So the guidelines are actually there, and I'm happy with the fact that he has told them that they must meet up with the required guideline of the COVID-19 requirement, which is very, very expedient. Some of us are just of the opinion that there's no COVID-19 in Nigeria. I bet to disagree. There's something we talked about before we actually started this show. There is COVID-19, and we just pray that this wouldn't have anything to do with the sports, the sporting individuals who are going to be in charge. I'm talking about the footballers and the athletes. But then all protocol must be duly observed so that the league can commence in earnest.
Very well said, Kole. We hope that all these things will be sorted out, especially player salary. We don't want to see a situation where players will go on strike because of their unpaid wages, especially then logistics and the likes. Very, very important. Now, let's also stick to Nigeria and tell you that despite finishing as runners-up at the 2020 African Cup in Tunisia early in the year, Aruna Quadri has been listed among the top 20 players in the world that will compete at the ITTF Men's World Cup scheduled for November in China. And of course, he will be leading other contingent from Nigeria to that tournament.
I'm happy that he has been able to get a spot to actually compete. I remember, if not for the fact that he's in the top 20, he wouldn't have had a chance because he lost in the final of the African Championship to Ahmed Saleh. So both of them will actually be representing the hoisting the flag of Africa of the continent. Remember, even Aruna Kodri is the best in Africa in terms of performances at the World Cup. In 2014 edition, he was able to get to the quarterfinal. No other African player has been able to achieve this. Let's also not forget, in the women's category, no Nigerian will be competing because they actually lost the African, the championship, the qualifiers. We have Mashrev. Remember that young lady, that woman who is very powerful, and she's been getting the better of our African, the Nigerian players. Which most times when I see her play, I'm not happy. We hope that players like Funke Oshonaike and others will be able to take that glory back from her. And of course, we remember back in the days, we used to be the best, both in the men and the women's category.
That's to tell you how far other countries have caught up with Nigeria. We need to really step up our game. Now, away from Nigeria now, let's talk about the continent Africa. It's a big shock to me and other Africans that a trophy like the African Cup of Nations, where Egyptians won 3 times in a row, and that was given to them for keeps, is missing. Yes. Now, the Confederation of African Football has expressed shock after reports that the AFCON trophy given to Egypt has gone missing. And Kule, I'm asking, how possible could this be?
I'm surprised, Brownson. I never expected. If you say this is happening in a country like Nigeria and probably some African countries,
why Nigeria?
Said, no, you and I understand how things work out here. We are not trying to castigate the country in any way, but this is just the present situation. But a country like Egypt, which for me seems to be more organized, because most of the North African countries seems to have this organization than the Western Africans. The vice president of the Egyptian Football Federation came out to say there was a fire outbreak in 2013, and they feel that probably the trophy got burnt in the process.
Or it got melted.
It got melted.
Yeah.
So melted. But why was this not announced earlier? Why are we just getting to know in 2020? So I think even a lot of questions need to be asked, even from the president of the Egyptian Football Federation. I don't think that this is right at all, because if this had happened in the time past in 2013, as the vice president claimed, then definitely the whole world would have been awash with the news. So there's something fishy about this, and I think that they should investigate it. Those who have taken the cup should bring it back, and of course they should be prosecuted.
Africa, a really peculiar continent indeed. Olakunle will be taking his leave, but don't go away, because when we come back, Stephen Abiodun will be joining me on the show. Welcome back. Now, EPL and La Liga resumes this weekend. I'm sure a lot of people have waited endlessly for it, but it's finally here. Big game. So on the show today, we'll look at EPL. Which teams are the pretenders? Who are the contenders? Who is likely to return back to relegations? And who stand the chance of even winning the Golden Boots? Stephen Abiodun joins me, and together we'll be giving you all the analysis. Now, Stephen, let's look at this EPL critically. Chelsea seems to be the most busy team in the transfer market. So far, they've got 7, is it 8? And maybe they might even make it 11. Yep. And for Manchester United, they're busy signing midfielders with the bunch they already have. Arsenal seems to have done some level of good business. But overall, who do you think would be the contenders for the title?
Well, looking at the EPL, it's been the most popular league in the world. It's full of intrigues and all there. Sometimes when the league starts, you don't even know where to go. But I think for me, one of the favorites I still see is probably Liverpool and Man City. Chelsea have been very, very busy in the market, but you have to look at the fact that it will take some time for the players to gel together.
So if you want to pick like 4 teams that will finally make the top 4 in no particular order, let's forget about winning. Which 4 teams do you think might make the top 4?
Well, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea.
Now, we have teams coming from relegation waters, mixing up with some other teams. Everton also have been doing well in transfer market, sent a couple of quality players. But do you think they'll at least make it to Europa?
Recently, Everton have not really done well to the best of my understanding, but I think they should be able to do better this season.
All right, it's going to be very, very crunchy tie indeed. Now, there are some other teams that we expect to be pretenders. Now, this guy did not mention Arsenal to make the top four. I still don't understand why Arsenal can't make the top four. You didn't mention Manchester United.
Yep, I did.
Or in the top four, okay. But Arsenal, you don't think?
For me, Arsenal, for me, have not been a regular team in the top four recently, and they've been always off and on.
But under Arteta, people want to argue that they've done better.
Yeah, they might have done better but for me this season, I don't see them going into the top four.
All right, that's subject to that's subject to debate from Arsenal fans. I'm sure Arsenal fans don't really want to hear that right now. But this weekend, big games coming finally, and on Saturday, where the league starts in full, Fulham, the newcomers, will be taking on Arsenal in a London derby game. And the other game we were supposed to see has been postponed because Manchester United were involved on the continent. So they've been given a resting day. Now, that game is supposed to get against Burnley. That game has been postponed. Crystal Palace will play host to Southampton, and the Manchester City Aston Villa as well has been postponed because of the continental involvement in the UEFA Champions League. But also on Saturday, we'll see games like West Ham playing host to Newcastle United, while Liverpool will play host to newcomers Leeds. And on Sunday, we're going to be seeing some exciting game as well. Another newcomer, West Bromwich Albion will take on Leicester City, while Tottenham will take on Everton. That, for me, is going to be the fireworks of the weekend. And of course, on Monday, we'll see Brighton taking on Chelsea, Sheffield United, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Match day one, what's your pick of the tie?
Well, for me, it's still the Everton Tottenham. It's going to be a cracker. I mean, these two, they will be struggling to go ahead. Tottenham tried to get into the top four, couldn't get there. Everton want to go into Europa, but couldn't get there. But I mean, two of them were looking to get ahead this season, so it's definitely going to be a cracker as they will be preparing, to start the season on a good note.
Yes, and I think for Tottenham Hotspurs, for the first time, Mourinho has had preseason with the team, so we might see how that team might turn out to be. Also, we have London Derby. Fulham, yes, we understand they're just coming from relegation, but when it comes to London Derby, form has absolutely nothing to do with them. It's about bragging rights.
Exactly. Yeah, the bragging rights still stand. Fulham wants to show that they're still there. They're part of. They are one of the big teams in London. Definitely, they want to show off what vast skills they have in the bag.
I tell you, it's going to be a very big, crunchy games come Saturday. Now let's move away from the English Premier League and go straight to Spanish La Liga, where big games would be coming up this weekend. But before that, the Messi controversy hit the airwaves, and finally, nobody's willing to pay 710 million euros
that's
right now.
So
he has returned back to Barcelona. But the question I want to ask right now is, with all those controversy rocking that period, do you think Messi should still be given the armband of the captain?
Well, for me, it's not a decision for me. It's not a call for me. It's still a call for the coach. But the coach will want to make him happy, to make him feel safe, and to stay.
What's the point? He's living in he's living in the summer.
Matter. When we look at the Barcelona team, we know the Barcelona team seems to be built around Messi, and Messi leaving could trigger a lot of exit from Barcelona. So for him to have made a U-turn at this time, they will want to make him happy, to see if
why do you want a player that wants to leave? What's the point of making him happy? Why don't you now look at Ansu Fati, for instance? You can build your future around a young player like that. You have Ricky Puig. You can build a future around not in Messi.
As much as I agree with you, these are youngsters that are still coming up. You can't compare them with the Messi that is fully established, that have been churning out results.
You will be living in a year's time.
No, yeah, I agree. Now this comes to the fact that it's been said over time that you don't build a team around a particular player. And for me, I think this has, I've gone for too much of a long time building that team around Messi. Now he wants to leave. It's a big problem for the club. It's even a big problem for Messi as far as I'm concerned. Because, with such a sum slammed on him, there might be few clubs out there who are ready to...
Nobody will pay that amount for Messi.
You understand? Yeah. You understand? Messi is at his peak already. For me, if you ask me, I would say he should have done this right before now, maybe 2-3 seasons ago, when he's still playing well, when age was still a bit on its side.
Yeah.
But for me, coming at this time and handing a transfer request, and for me, it's a bit late.
Well, a bit late, better late than never.
Of course.
I want to see Messi in EPL.
Oh, really?
There have been a lot of talks about Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. I think that argument will be put to bed once Messi moves out of the Spanish La Liga. I personally want to see that move. So let's have you the fixtures that would be coming up on Friday, which marks the beginning of the Spanish La Liga. Granada would be on duty against Athletic Bilbao. That would be the first game of the new season, and the kickoff time, Nigerian time, would be 8 p.m. On Saturday, we'll see a couple of games that will involve Eibar versus Celta Vigo, and Cadiz will be playing Osasuna. Cadiz were very fantastic. They finished the table top of the table, but towards the end, they dropped form a bit, but they did just enough to return to the Spanish La Liga. Osasuna, who also moved up, they'll be playing each other. On Sunday, we'll be seeing lots of games where Valladolid will take on Real Sociedad. Now, the game between Barcelona and Elche has been postponed because Barcelona were involved on the continent. I think it was a famous involvement where they were spanked 8-2 by FC Bayern Munich. Real Madrid also were busy, so they'll be given a pass. They'll be having 1 week rest. So that game between Real Madrid and Getafe would not hold. Villarreal were busy against Huesca. Huesca is one of those teams that just gained promotion. And of course, the last game of the weekend will see Valencia taking on Levante. Big games indeed.
Yeah, definitely big games on the weekend. We will be looking at Villarreal, where we have one of our own that is showing off his skills there.
Yeah.
So definitely we expect something very good to come up this weekend from the La Liga.
Yeah, that's talking about Samuel Chukwueze. He will do just good enough, and I hope that he really impressed this season. There were lots of clubs that came for him, but looks like we just may not see him leaving Villarreal at this time. Now let's take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll be looking at other sports. Welcome back. Now let's move away from football and talk about tennis. The US Open is absolutely buzzing. We've seen beautiful games of tennis played on the court, and the world number one, Novak Djokovic, brought the world to a standstill after that incident that happened on the court. Now, a lot of people said it was a mistake, but the umpire thought otherwise.
Well, rules are rules, whether it be a mistake or deliberate. But when you look at that game, I believe it wasn't deliberate. He was just frustrated, trailing his counterparts. The first set, he was just frustrated and just shot the ball back, not knowing it would hit the line umpire. So for me, I think it's just as he said on his Instagram and all that. Well, he will take it all as a lesson for his own personal self to learn, and for him to do better in the future. So for me, I think it's really a sad one for him there.
Now, there were a lot of things against this young man. Don't forget that last week on the show, we spoke about the fact that he broke out from the Player Association to form a rival Players Association. And the week after that, is having issues with Nigeria will say na village people. But the situation is different. Let's hope it's not village people.
Of course. No, for them they don't have village people there, so I don't believe that should be the case. It's not from where we are.
It's not from where we are, right? But all these things follow.
Yeah, of course.
Let's move away from there and go straight to Formula One. It was a record-breaking day for Pierre Gasly as he produced a redemption story for the ages and joined one of the Formula One's most selected group with a stunning victory for the Red Bull's junior team with the Italian Grand Prix. But this came with a prize. Now, who was the prize, or who was the sacrificial lamb? Lewis Hamilton, after he was being penalized. And then, but he did just well to finish second. But then, let's not take the shy away from the winner, Gasly. It was a really big day for him.
Yeah, Pierre Gasly winning for the first time and, doing himself a solid day. Also bringing Red Bull to the forefront once more. I mean, it was a good day for him. It was a big day for him. He needs to be celebrated. For Lewis Hamilton being a regular face and eventually
you see,
someone else winning the race.
Why a lot of people are talking about Hamilton is the fact that he was just 2 shots away, let's say 2 races away from equaling Michael Schumacher's record, and it looks like the wait is still going to be longer for it's going to be there for a long time.
I think he's still going to be there for a while before he could meet Schumacher's record.
It's just 2 races. I mean,
Two races can be a lot at times.
Yeah, that's most people want to liken it to what Serena Williams is going through in tennis. She has played lots of Grand Slam final, but to break that record is still like a piece of puzzle for her to solve. Welcome back, and that's my final strike on Sport Pizza this week. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Olakule Philip was here earlier. Thank you very much, as well as Stephen. And to you, our viewers, we really appreciate you. But please follow us on all our social media platforms currently displaying on your screen right now. Feel free to drop a comment. We'll be so glad to hear from you. Until we meet again next week, please stay safe. Use your hand sanitizer, and of course, if you must go out, wear your face mask. My name is Brownson Uwana. Enjoy the rest of your day.